Greetings, it's Terlumination again. It is still September 12th, 2023. There's just a whole ton of stuff that got me like frothy, fuming, raging, happy, basically almost overstimulated. And all I did was have my 1 cup of coffee in the morning. By the way, I hope you like my t-shirt. There you go. See the guitars? See that word? Walmart. Made in China. There you go. Thank you, China. Anyway, let me just go over here for a second. So I'm still working off my notes from early today and doing all the research and through later on through the day, because it was just one thing after another. And I've already put up some content today regarding those things. I also found my old list from long ago about very important dates. Look at those. I've already got them, so I've already got 3 videos lined up that I'm going to have to make, but they're for, a long way ahead, so I've got time. Same for this one, 29th of October 2024. It's about a year away. And look at this one here. All of 2023. The whole freaking year. And that's where we are right now. And I've highlighted the primary theme is Pluto in Capricorn, 27, 28, 29 degrees, and hovering towards Pluto in Aquarius, 0 degrees. And then we move into 2024. It just says, whoa. I'll have to go back and check. All right. Just mark your calendars. And I got another crazy one here. 29th of May, 2043. I'll have to double, triple check that one. I just thought I'd mention it. Anyway, here's the same astrodoodle from earlier today. Same stuff going on. Moon in Moon in Leo, high degrees. It's a very sensitive point for me, this one here. Of course, I'm very sensitive already. I have lots of sensitive points, but this one definitely is the hot spot for me personally today. So I'm just running with it, so I don't have to sit here and get all constipated from not responding to this transit here. So instead of unhealthy expression, I'm opting for healthy expression. It just, sometimes that stuff gets me into trouble. Anyway, like I said earlier, we're heading towards the Virgo new moon. We're here right now, okay? Today's the 12th, so it's the end of a 28.25 day lunar cycle, and I typically get very sort of touchy-feely type sensitive and just want to hide mostly. But at least I got you guys. Thank you so much. So I want to rattle off a couple of things. Try and stick it all in this one video. You've probably heard about the wacko attorney, whatever her name is, governor over in New Mexico. What's her name? Grisham. She just basically waved her finger and said, we're going to suspend the Second Amendment. Poof! Because it's a nuisance right now. We had an emergency where there were some shootings, and so we have to stop all public use of public carry and concealed carry of your Second Amendment right to carry your firearms for self-defense. We're just going to suspend that. Well, guess what? Here we are, a day or two later, and it has whole backfired really, really badly on her. New Mexico itself is now effectively turned into a sanctuary state, Second Amendment sanctuary state, because within hours of her announcing her dictates, she started getting sued by the Gun Owners of America and all the other gun rights advocates. And then all the sheriffs came up and said, we will not comply with the dictates of Grisham. We will not enforce any dictates of Grisham. We will honor the Constitution. So her attempts to just be a dictator backfired really, really badly. It was, you could call it maybe a test to see what happens when somebody just goes full-on dictator in a state. And look what happened. It works differently in different states. California, very different story. Anyway, the next story that came up that kind of got me fuming was like how Grandpa Joe was over in Alaska trying to give speeches to cheer up all the people whose lives he's ruined over there with the military and with oil and gas and so on. And he made a few comments about the 9/11 situation. It's, yesterday, September 11th, was the, what was it? 20? Anyway, it was an anniversary, at least 20 years from the 9/11 Twin Towers disaster. And I remember exactly where I was and what was happening at that time. I also have a brother who was exactly there at that time. He was in one of the main streets where you could see down the concrete corridor of that street to where the two twin towers were right at the end. And he was carrying his young son, a very young son, in his arms at the time, just coming back from the grocery store with a bag of nibbles. And then he was there. It was not pretty. Anyway, you have to do your own research on it, but it was kind of disgraceful and embarrassing what Grandpa Joe was saying. It was almost insulting. Really insulting to the victims, insulting to the first responders. It was just shameful, disgusting to witness. This guy, Grandpa Joe, man, he's like, I don't know how to describe it. And I was shown some very disturbing content about, at that time, George Bush Jr., who was the president, who presided over America during the time of the 9/11 bombing. And allegedly there is an artistic painting, whether it's pastels, oil, acrylics, I'm not sure, but it depicts George Bush sitting indoors in what looks like a sort of a library in a classroom, where he's holding a paper dart and he's preparing to throw it at two Lego type buildings that had fallen down. And allegedly that painting was discovered in the Jeffrey Epstein compound. Make of this what you will. DYOR. Do your own research. The content, the material is out there. Next, I don't know too much about this, but to me it's very, very important because I saw the grand finale, the explosive finale. There's an attorney general over in Texas. His name is Ken Paxton. He's a very, very conservative, like Trump, MAGA kind of fellow. And he's much loved by your classic Texas inhabitant. But as you know, Texas, like every other state, has its collection of rhinos and hardcore lefties. And it's the rhinos and the hardcore lefties who tried to take him out, using all sorts of bogus, let's say, accusations. Anyway, the lead attorney for Ken Paxton in the final closing stages of the court was cross-examining one of the witnesses and the persons who were testifying on behalf of the FBI. Because it was the FBI who were trying to put away Ken Paxton. So there's this hardcore attorney going right at it with the FBI guy. The attorney is basically saying, excuse me. We have to be very precise here. It's very, very simple. Are you admitting now that you had absolutely no evidence when you presented your case to the FBI? It was just speculation. Well, we just... Answer my question, please, yes or no. Did you have any hard evidence? Anyway, the judge had to intervene. The judge had to say, Dear FBI fellow, please just answer the question, yes or no. Be polite, be civil, just answer the question, yes or no. So the attorney said it again. Dear FBI agent, did you have any hard evidence when you presented this? No, sir. No, we did not. So the attorney said, well, there you go. Thank you very much. That's the end of the story. Bye-bye. I was very pleased to see that because it was all captured on camera, live. And it was out there today, very early this morning. There was another thing that I saw, which I found very enjoyable. It was one of those Tucker on X events. And I have to tell you, it was very feisty, very, very spicy. It happened on Twitter X, where there's a little bit more freedom of speech than there is where I have my content on YouTube and Rumble and so on. But anyway, Tucker was calling out this, calling out that. And one of the people he was calling out, because Tucker was getting very, very angry and outspoken. Not outspoken, but he was speaking out openly regarding the immigration crisis. And he called out Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. Because the problem has been going on for, two and a half, almost 3 years now, all right? 7 million illegal immigrants across the border. A lot of it through Texas. And Greg Abbott, the governor, has been doing this or that, bit of this, a bit of that, bit of that, bit of that. Oh, we got to put some agents here, some agents here. We got to process these bad people over here, put them in a box over there, ship them over there, ship them over there, blah, blah, blah. But nothing to do with actually stopping the immigration across the border. Now, the reality is that if Greg Abbott wanted to, he could just call up the National Guard and just put up a wall of people with, defensive weapons to say, I'm sorry, you're not coming in here. It's illegal. It's an invasion. Bye-bye. Go away. Anyway, Tucker was raging and basically saying, Greg Abbott, you've had 3 years almost to do this. And what have you actually done? The end result is nothing. You have child trafficking concentration warehouses in the middle of your state, and you know it. And it's happening right now. So in effect, you are aiding and abetting the commie, Marxist, globalist, evil agenda, especially with the child trafficking. You, Mr. Abbott, Greg Abbott. I'm glad somebody's calling out this stuff, because it has to be called out. There are a lot of really wishy-washy conservatives who are basically trying to stay in the middle and keep the uniparty going so that they can get their paycheck and their pension. That's all it's about. They don't really give a crap about you. Nothing. Anyway, I'm glad that Tucker is becoming more and more bold. Frankly, when Fox News fired Tucker, they let him go, that was the best thing that ever happened to Tucker. Because Tucker is now unleashing. He's free. He's completely free. He doesn't have to live under the thumb of the mainstream media. There you go. I just wanted to share all that stuff. Get it off my chest. It's scary stuff. And it indicates all of this that's happening here in the United States. But I'm very glad that we're seeing a little bit of resistance. A bit of... In other words, we're not... Okay, how can I put this politely? I don't mean to insult Canada or anything, but Canada is in very, very deep trouble. And they don't have a Second Amendment in the way that we do. problem is starting to become very obvious. That's why America is the ultimate enemy of the tyrants, because we still have the Second Amendment. Thank you very much for watching.